Hello. So I attended a meeting of the U.S. Appeals Court on March 23rd, and what I learned from that was I saw a great amount of examples of servant leadership there. And from what I mean by that is that my understanding of servant leadership is that a servant leader puts the good of others, the community at large, in front of their own self-interests, and I saw a great deal of that amongst the judges. Now, meetings of the like court hearings in general can affect communities. Like a district court hearing can solve a problem that's immediately affecting a community, but a appeals court hearing affects how the legal process is interpreted. Like a district court hearing will show how a defendant, if found guilty, is punished, or how to interpret certain offenses to see what course of action to be taken. But an appeals court hearing goes more to how court should be conducted, and that creates a precedent for almost all court systems in the United States. And the largest appeals court in the land is the U.S. Supreme Court, and that cases that go there tell the nation how law should be interpreted in general. So that affects most communities. Now, as far as the legal system goes, as far as the leaders that I saw there were three judges, two males and one female. Excuse me, sorry. And they were in charge. They were the ones who were in charge, and there's a bit of a ritual to going to court. That they're the ones that they're the ones that call the shots, basically. And there were clerks there taking record, telling people in attendance what to do, things of that nature. And the people in attendance were a lot of VCU students. Oddly enough, there's a class that needs students to attend court hearings, so they were there. There were male, female, Caucasian, African American, Hispanic, Asian, but basically students of all demographics that were there. There were attorneys there as well, who were some that were participating in later hearings, some that were just sitting in. That was an even split of male and female there. As far as the attorneys on the defense and the prosecution sides for the two hearings that I saw, they were predominantly male. There were some female attorneys, but as far as who was speaking, there were more men speaking for the attorneys than there were women. Women were speaking. There were government attorneys. One of the government attorneys in the first case that I heard, she spoke, but not nearly as much as her male counterpart. However, to counteract that, I think the one judge that I admired the most of the three, Judge Harris, she was very, I think she showed the most of being a servant leader, because she put her job in front of what she would normally look at, she put the good of the community over what I imagine she would believe personally. And the reason why I say that is because she asked, I wouldn't say like hard or purposely challenging questions, but she did ask she asked competent questions of both sides, and she didn't give any one side any favors. And so that's one of the takeaways I got from the court there, is to be impartial. When looking at a conflict, leaders should really take both sides into account, and despite what they may believe personally, they might have to divide that, they might need to disregard that in order to see what's best for the group. Another thing I took from going to court was that a leader needs to be present. A leader needs to be present. Honestly, when it came down to it, of the three judges that were speaking, Judge Harris was the one that spoke the most. She was the one that seemed to be the most present. And while leaders that allow people working under them to have free reign and then just come in and check in every once in a while, that's fine, but it doesn't necessarily work in conflict resolution. And this is a big conflict. Court is a very big conflict resolution sort of area. So I believe, one, a leader should be present, especially when it comes to conflict resolution, and a leader should also be impartial. Those are two of the things that I took away from that. So yeah, that's about it. That was my experience at the U.S. Court of Appeals. Thank you.